Okay, I'm gonna keep this video short. Here's something you probably didn't know. Steve Jobs had one book installed on his iPad, and that same book he pre-planned to give everyone who went to his funeral a copy of this book. And when I originally heard this, obviously, because I'm a pretty big Steve Jobs fan, at least I would consider myself a fan of his work, a fan of what he created. I was interested. I wanted to know what this book was. And so I read it, and long story short, it changed my life, transformed every area from my health to the work that I did, my relationships with other people. And so I just want to talk about my experience reading this book, implementing it in my life, obviously tell you what the book is. And so I guess just to jump to the chase, the book, and it's going to throw you off a little bit when I say this, when you see it right here, it's called The Autobiography of a Yogi. And if you didn't know, Steve Jobs was a little bit of, I don't know the right word to say it, but he was a little bit of a hippie, right? He walked around barefoot, ate fruit a lot. The bottom line is it's an interesting concept to think that one of the greatest entrepreneurs, pioneers of the entire internet world, was into a lot of Eastern philosophy. This is essentially a book by a yogi, a Hindu priest, you would say, right? A God-realized soul from India that essentially brought the wisdom of the East to the West. So in the early 1900s, this guy was touring around the United States, teaching his lessons on religion and spirituality, and that's kind of the background of the book. Obviously, it's an autobiography of his life, and originally you open up the book, and for the first couple pages you're like, what the heck is this? Like, what did I get into? Is this really like the book that this guy loved so much? But by the end of the book, honestly, you're just like mind blown. And I guess to cut to the chase, like, I read this book and didn't really think much of it. I was like kind of confused. I'm like, what is this guy talking about? Like, there's all these supernatural stories of crazy experiences, like levitating, having two people at once. Like, if you read the book, you'll know what I mean. But essentially, the bottom line, what I got from this book was this: meditation is 10,000 times more powerful than you think it is. And since reading the book, I mean, I've literally, I bought this guy's lessons. I've become a student of him. He's now my guru in meditation. I follow his practices for an hour and a half, 2 hours a day, if I can. And like, genuinely the highest ROI thing on my life. So I would say, like, bringing this back to reality, because I don't want to go deep into like the spirituality and stuff. It's like, the book really made me realize the importance of meditation. For the longest time, I did it for focus, for clarity. I always thought it was one of those things that was like a productivity hack. And this was really the introduction for me on how meditation could be used to reflect internally and learn about yourself. And honestly, like, that alone, aside from the religious and spiritual stuff, which, by the way, has been transformational in my life, that alone, like the internal self-reflection, the stuff that I learned there was, again, completely life-changing. Like, the one thing that I would tell my younger self is you have to know yourself more. Like, the things that I was doing 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I wouldn't do now because I know more about myself. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what self-improvement, that's what self-development is. It's just learning about yourself. And I never realized that meditation was literally the best way to do that. Like, you are reflecting internally. It's just time in the day when you're sitting, reflecting internally. So I know I said I'd make this video short, and like I said, I want to keep it that way. This book changed my life. I'm going to leave a link in the description if I can. I'm not sure if YouTube's going to let me, but to go buy this book. I would read it. I'd read it twice. I'd read it 3 times. It's an incredible story of basically how the West was introduced to Eastern, spirituality and philosophy. And I think if you read it, you're going to have a different perspective on the world, on meditation, on really like the possibility of what this practice could do for you if you took it seriously. So thank you for listening to me yap a little bit about this book. It's completely transformed my life, and hopefully you can read it and it does the same for you. Thank you. Have a good day.